Hey everyone, welcome back to Surekha Azure Hybrid Academy. In today's video, we will go through the lab in real-time scenario, how we are applying group policies in client missions, and also how these are affecting, how these policies are applying. We will see that. Okay, let's get started. So earlier labs, I have configured domain controller and client missions, right? So using that domain controllers and that client mission, we will go through these group policies and we'll apply group policies. Okay, let's open Hyper-V. In Hyper-V Manager, we have lab DC2 is there. Here I have Active Directory is configured, and these are the client missions. At a time, two missions are not running. Only domain controller has to run always, right? So I have two client missions are there, but because of my system memory, it is not letting me to run three missions at a time. So I'm just running one client mission. So this is the domain controller. Okay, here if we'll go to start and type group policy, you can see group policy management. Okay, open this group policy management. In earlier video, I have configured password policy, right? So here this policy by default we configured under carp.local.com, so it linked to carp.local.com domain. Okay, here we don't have multiple domains, we have only single domain is there, that is carp.local.com, and inside that we have created we have OUs are there. If we'll open Active Directory users and computers, in previous video I have configured three organizational units. Those are finance, HR, and other one is account. Okay, these three OUs we have configured earlier. So under these we have users are there. So we will play with these users. Okay, let's if you'll see here in under this domain, you can see account, finance and HR. OUs are there, organizational units are there. These are the organizational units. Group policy objects. If you see here, you can see group policy objects. Okay. Let me delete this password domain policy. Default domain controller policy means whatever policies you are applying in this default domain controller policy, those will apply in domain controller missions in your domain. For example, here I have DC1 and DC2 domain controllers are there. If I configure anything on this default domain controllers policy, those settings will apply on these DC1 and DC2 domain controllers. Default domain policy means this is the, if you will apply any of the policies in this domain policy, that will apply to the entire policy, entire domain. So here if you will apply any of the changes, those will apply any of the settings, those will apply in this carp.local.com domain. So this is the difference you have to remember, because most of the people will confuse in these two things. Instead of configuring in domain default domain policy, they will configure in domain controller policy, and they'll think like why these policies are not applying, because they configured in domain controller policy. So always we have to remember, see here name itself is there, domain controllers policy and domain policy. Okay, let's get started. So in any of the organization, the most important thing is whenever they are assigning a computers and they are creating users, initially what they will do, they will set the password policy. Initial policy is password policy. Separate GPO so that we can segregate like this, so that we can identify easily. Okay, here I am creating a GPO on this domain. Okay, for this I am mentioning the name password policy. Okay, this is the password policy. So here, to set the password policy, what we have to do, you have to right click here, edit, go to computer configuration. See here the main difference of computer configuration and user configuration. These settings will apply on user profile and these settings will apply on computer devices. It will apply. Here password policy will apply on the device. We are applying to the user, but that will apply on the device, right? When you are logging into the mission, computer configuration will apply before user log into the mission. These policies will apply. User configuration settings, those will apply only when the user log into the system. These settings will apply. So you have to remember that. Here like you will be having a doubt like, okay, then why if computer configuration is applying on computers, then why we are applying this password policy to the user? Because we are applying password policy to user, not computer. But that policy will apply whenever the user log into the system. His authentication, like he has to give the credentials before login, right? That is the reason we are applying that policy in computer configuration, not in user configuration. For example, you want to disable USB drive on particular computer, then you can apply on computer configuration. But you want to disable on user profile, then you can apply that setting on user configuration. Okay, let's see. We will see all these settings. So here computer configuration, here in policies, go to Windows settings. Here security settings, local policies. Okay, local policies are these. So account policies. Inside account policy you have password policy is there, account lockout policy is there, Kerberos policy is there. So any of the organization must and should will configure password policy and account lockout policy, because these are the more critical things, right? So these two will configure. So here we will configure password policy. Here enforce password history. If you see here if you don't know what it is, you can see in explain. You can go through this and you can understand here what it is saying. This security setting determines the number of unique new passwords that have to be associated with a user account before an old password can be reused. So if any of the user, just for example, he is using test password, next time he want to reset the password, then again he cannot use that test password, he has to change the password. If you are keeping it like number 3, then it will up to 3 passwords repeated. These 3 repeated passwords will not allow. After these 3 passwords you can give that old password. Okay, I'm just keeping 2. And maximum password is, okay, this also you don't know. For example, here this is the security setting, determines the period of time that a password can be used before the system requires the user to change it. For example, you are setting for 30 days he has to change the passwords. Like here it is default is 42. So after 42 days he has to change the password. So this is the password policy setting. Okay, I am just keeping by default. So after 42 days, 42nd day he has to reset the password. Minimum password is 30 days by itself it is taking, means from 30th day onwards it will say you have to reset the password, you have to reset the password, your password is going to expire, that will come, right? That is from this day it will start, it will notify you have to reset the password. So this is the minimum password is. See here, the security setting determines the period of time that a password must be used before the user can change it. You can set a value between this. Okay, the minimum password is must be less than the maximum password is, unless the maximum password is set to 0. So this is what. Okay, and minimum password length we have to here you can define like minimum how many characters should be there, like 3, 5 or whatever, or anything you can mention here. Okay, we will just, it is for testing purpose, that is the reason I am just keeping 3, but in real time scenario 3 is not sufficient, right? So we have to set it more than at least 7 characters should be there. And minimum password length audit, minimum password length for which password length audit warning events are issued. So this is what. Okay, and password must meet complexity. So if you will enable this setting, your password must be in complexity password, means small letters, capital letters, numbers, and these symbols should be there. So okay, here I am disabling it right now because for us it is not required. And relax minimum password. Okay, this is the setting controls whether the minimum password length setting can be increased beyond the legacy limit of 14. So if you will enable this setting, it will so yeah. Store passwords in reversible encryption. So for that this setting we can enable it. So but in real time scenario we will enable these all, and complexity also we will enable it. This is for testing purpose, so I'm just keeping it as it is. Okay, and we will just test this one. Okay, you can close this. So now this password policy was set. Okay, see here, if we'll right click here, it is showing link is enabled. Okay, we will see what it is. Okay, here you can see link is showing enabled, path is carp.local.com, and here it enabled for all authenticated users. So because it linked to domain, right? So by default it enabled to all domain users. So this setting is enabled. This policy was applied. Here you can see what changes you have done. You can see here. Okay, so let's see, is it working on users or not? We will see in client mission. Let me open a client mission. Okay, I will log off. Okay, I'm login with FN user. Okay, here to test it, what we will do, we will enable one more setting. What is that? When we are creating user accounts, we have mentioned user cannot change password and user password never expires, we have mentioned, right? So we will try this user ID account user, we will try it. We will see what it will give an error. If we are trying to change the password, what it is giving, we will see it. Okay, I am logging in with account user. Okay, it logged in. Here we will try to reset the password. Okay, change password. It is asking for old password and I am trying to give the new password. I am trying to give the same password. We'll see. See, first of all, it is giving access denied. It is not saying that password policy. It is saying access denied. Why it is giving like this? Anyone can get it? Okay. If you will get it, you can mention in the comments why it is showing access denied. When we are trying to reset password, it is showing access denied, right? Why this error is coming? You can mention in comments why it is coming. Okay. Okay, let me show you. If you'll open this user account and if you'll go to account, here you can see user cannot change password. Password never expires is there, right? We have set these settings. That is the reason it is giving that error. So for that, the reason is password never expires. User cannot change the password. Main thing is user cannot change the password. So we will remove these settings. We can keep it user must change password at next logon. We'll keep that. Okay. Now let's log into the client mission. Okay, I will log off and log in. Okay. Here what it is showing, the user's password must be changed before signing in. Why this is coming? This is coming because we have mentioned that user must change password at next logon. We have said that, right? That is the reason it is giving this. So we have to change the password. So this is the, here it is asking for password reset. So here what I will do, I'll try to give the same password. Okay, but here what it is showing, unable to update the password, the value provided for the new password does not meet the length, complexity or history requirements of the mission or domain. Try increase the length of your password along with including upper and lower characters, numbers and symbols it is giving. So what I will do, yeah, now password has been changed.